Hey, so it's been a minute that I've read from my book Spiritual Nomad: A Journey Within and Abroad. It's available on my website. If you want an autographed copy, I have plenty of copies. I've restocked, so there's plenty inventory for that. If you don't want that, you can purchase on Amazon. For international orders, please do Amazon. It's just a lot easier, and you'll get it faster than me shipping it. So we are at, if you've been watching the rest of the other previous videos, we are at chapter 7. So chapter 7 is a bittersweet goodbye. And the quote under this chapter is, "Don't be afraid of change because it is leading you to a new beginning." Mateo is, just a little backstory, Mateo is someone I met back in, don't remember which chapter, I think it's chapter 3. Yeah, chapter 3. He was the hot bartender, the Italian one, that I had a summer fling with. And this chapter is me 6 years later when I went back. So I'm gonna just start here. Prior to leaving the States, Mateo reached out to me. He saw on Facebook that I was in Zurich. He said, "You're more than welcome to stay with me for a little while when you get to Interlaken until you can find a flat or apartment and work." I was a little surprised to hear from him, being that we hadn't talked much since our drunken fight 6 years ago. I had a lot of emotions come up. I wasn't 18 anymore, but parts of me still had feelings for him. I felt like there was unfinished business between us. I didn't know if Mateo and I were just some summer fling or something more, and to be honest, I wasn't sure if he still felt the same way after all this time. I was curious and said, "Wow, well, it's great to hear from you. It'd be nice to catch up. Thank you." Oh, Levin is someone that I met on Facebook also, who I helped. He's a famous singer songwriter in Switzerland, and I don't know how we got connected, but we I helped him translate some of his songs into English, like write them in English, like just the grammar to make sure they're correct and it flowed well. So when I first got to Switzerland, he's the one that let me stay at his place. So this is who Levin is. Levin drove me to Interlaken Ost train station. I said, "Thank you so much for driving me. Please take some gas money." He smiled and shook his head. "No worries. Maybe we'll see each other in a different part of the world. You can buy me a beer and we'll call it even." I gave him a big hug and thanked him again for the drive and letting me stay with him. Mateo texted me back saying he'd be at the train station and pick me up shortly. I was excited and apprehensive. I told myself just have no expectations. I saw him drive around the bend looking for me. He lowered his head to see where I was standing. We caught each other's eye and smiled at each other. He circled back around and I stopped where I stood. He got out of the car, walked around, and gave me a big hug. He looked the same, just a little older and subdued. He seemed genuinely happy to see me and asked, "Do you mind coming to the grocery store with me? I'll cook lunch." I shook my head in agreement. We didn't talk much in the car. To break the awkward silence, I said, "You look good, Mateo. It's good to see you again." He looked over at me, smiled, and said, "Yeah, you too." We walked into the store and he went off looking for things to cook. I was behind him looking at all the different Swiss foods. "Do you know what you'd like?" I said, "No, I'm not too picky. We could just barbecue and roast some veggies. I'll get wine." The normalcy we both were playing was driving me crazy. My mind was racing with curiosity. What is he thinking? I couldn't read him. When we got back into the car, Mateo said, "My girlfriend is out of town for work, but she'll be back in a few days. She knows you're staying here and she can't wait to meet you. You'll like her." My heart sank. I was silent for a few seconds, trying to withhold my disappointment. "Oh, that's cool. How long have you guys been together?" He said 5 years. I thought, well, fuck. There goes any kind of chance of rekindling anything. We were quiet for the remainder of the short car drive to his home. Again, almost anyone's home is gorgeous in Switzerland because the scenery is unbelievable. Swiss Alps everywhere. We set up the barbecue outside in his garden. I grabbed the wine. Can I open this? He ran inside to grab the bottle opener and the rest of the grilling tools. I needed a glass of wine to settle my nerves. I watched him cook as I prepared and chopped the veggies. We let the meats and veggies cook and took a seat on the table. Mateo lit a spliff, looking out into the distance, pacing back and forth a little bit, and then sat down next to me, across from me. I could sense he was a little nervous too. So what's been going on with you these last 6 years? I chuckled. He laughed. I know it's been a long ass time. I can't believe you're back. We gave each other an overview of what our lives have been like all these years and sat back to enjoy the moment. A whole bottle of wine between us. We went inside because it was getting chilly. He suggested, hey, let's watch a movie and smoke a spliff. I was drunk enough and didn't want to smoke, but we watched a 3D movie. How we both didn't throw up was beyond me. Another bottle of wine later, we sat on his couch with our 3D glasses on, covered in blankets. His arms were crossed, trying not to lean into me, but I felt his fingers through his jacket caressing my arm. I didn't think much of it, I began stretching out my legs a little bit since he decided to watch a 2-hour movie. My foot accidentally bumped into his. I laughed. Sorry, I need to stretch for a sec. We've been sitting for too long. Mateo didn't say anything and touched my foot back. Once again, I didn't think anything of it. After the movie was over, he leaned over to hug me. My heart began to race from being caught off guard. I thought, shit, we shouldn't do this. I know what he's doing. Maybe he really did like me all this time. What if his girlfriend comes home early and sees us? But then I thought, cut it out. It's just a hug. Mateo said, I like you. I giggled out of nervousness, but also happy he said that. I jokingly said, yeah? Still after all this time? Mateo said, yeah. I said, you've always been in the back of my mind over the years. He leaned back and came in to hug me again, but this time it was a longer hug. I thought, shit, this is going away I initially wanted, but not under these circumstances. He leaned in and kissed me. I had waited 6 years to kiss him again. So I'm gonna leave it there at that little fucking cliffhanger. You're gonna have to find out what happened after that. So yeah, that was an interesting time back in Switzerland. So you'll see why it's a bittersweet goodbye. So that means chapter 7. So that means there's only 5 chapters left for me to read you a little snippets. Let me know how you guys like the book. Any questions? I want to start getting more of a dialogue with you guys to talk about it. I have so many stories and I can give you so much more insight maybe into the book that maybe I didn't write and you guys are curious about. Just let me know. And I'll see you in chapter 8.